floor of a drug den, confused, and there's a knock at the door. Normally I'd panic, but I know who it is. I open the door, and without judgment or a shred of disappointment, in walks my grandmother. She potters around, cleaning where she can, and making sure that there's food in the cupboards that she so caringly bought me. She reminds me not to forget to come and see her sometime this week. I love you, Daniel. And the door shuts behind. Now, it's not that she doesn't care about how I'm living, but she knows I have to learn my way. This woman beat cancer twice and then buried her son from it afterwards. My grandfather was a decorated World War II soldier, a man who gave me the father I was missing. And my mother, a single-parent success story in the business world, a woman who never stops believing in possibilities. These three are my compass, my heroes, my roots. And tonight, I want to take you into my past, not to dwell there, but as a lens to explore a concept that could change the way we think about adversity, pain, and addiction. This concept is known as adversity intelligence, or AQ. And unlike its better-known cousins, IQ and EQ, AQ isn't just a measure. It's a roadmap in this increasingly challenging world we live in to face discomfort. This powerful set of tools is for anybody, regardless of addiction. We all have a heart, and we all have a heartbeat. And I feel we all suffer in some way as we grow through life. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're all just trying to find our way home. I stand here as living proof, a once broken meth addict who built purpose from the wreckage of his past, from an addict to the architect of the first non-clinical meth program in the history of the Northern Territory of Australia, helping the very people I used to be. Imagine this for me for a second. There's two sons. They both have the same alcoholic father. One ends up in prison, and the other one ends up successful and sober. So now let's ask them why. They both give the same response. Because of my father. Same childhood, same pain, different outcome. The difference wasn't circumstance. It was perspective. We can't always choose our circumstances in life, but we can always choose our response. I should know, when I was growing up, my father was alive, but I grew up fatherless. But my grandfather's strength, my grandmother's love, and my mother's kindness and care, they became the roots that kept me grounded when the storms came. When I first moved to Australia from a tiny island called Guernsey in the English Channel, I was lighthearted, excited, I was full of love. But I felt out of place, misunderstood, alone. When I first picked up a glass pipe with crystal meth inside of it, I felt like I belonged. You would be amazed at what you can fit inside of a glass pipe, no bigger than a pen. Dreams, family, friendships, gone with one flame. One day I was looking in the mirror and staring back at me was a ghost. Who had I become? That reflection, a bowl broken in 100 places, The kind of bowl my grandmother may have kept, now broken. And then I thought, kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold, like a visual representation of adversity intelligence. Brokenness doesn't mean the end, but first comes the fall, the break, the shards. Even outside of addiction, life cracks our bowls. Domestic abuse, being bullied, losing a job or a business, the loss of our mobility, piling up. But here's the thing about kintsugi. The cracks are what make it beautiful. Not hidden, but highlighted. First comes the break. Then comes the shame. But after that came something new. Hope. And this isn't just philosophy, this is science. Harvard neuroscientist Dr. Maria Mazzucato proved that our brains can rewire even after decades of addiction and trauma. The same circuits that once fired for craving can rewire for courage and connection. I should know. My own brain, once hijacked by crystal meth, was later rebuilt through purpose, service, and community. Addiction rewires, but so does recovery. And then came another break. A friend. We had a saying, Hakuna Matata. She was traveling the world, planning to come and see me. Instead, I saw Sarah on international news, being carried out of a houseboat in a black body bag from a sickening attack. She was gone, and no amount of meth could hide that pain, but I still piled it on, trying to numb the feelings of loss and connection. And then I slowly realized something. No one, and I mean no one, is coming to save me. Her death became my mission, to make her life mean something. If I'm honest with you, her death brought me back to life. And as we scattered her ash at the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro, something inside me shifted. Life had arrived as a Trojan horse. Beautiful on the outside, but tragic on the inside. But inside that tragedy was a gift, purpose. Even in everyday struggles, relationships, burnout, loss, that Trojan horse is there. Life gives us opportunities, cleverly disguised as problems. And when it almost broke me, my roots, my family's courage whispered again, stand back up. When I first moved to the Northern Territory in Australia's red deserts, I was trying to outrun the glass pipe. But in this harsh place, I found healing and connection. Upon arrival, I threw in my plumbing career and got a job in a rehab, barely 2 months clean. Now, I'm pretty sure I probably should have just been in the rehab. But regardless, what happened next still astounds me. Over 7 years, we shifted the way the justice system thought about addiction, inspired by Johann Hari's idea delivered on a stage exactly like this. The opposite of addiction is connection. I witnessed the very people that we cast out in prison or try and avoid use these principles to go on to not only achieve sobriety, but to save so many lives with their own passion and ideas for helping others. One person I worked with said to me, "No one will ever know the violence it took to be this kind. I had a saying for this: thugs need hugs. Our pioneering non-clinical approach to dealing with meth addiction was even endorsed at the time by the Prime Minister when we met. We changed, we got written into drug reform policy, we challenged legislation, but most importantly, we changed many, many lives. My small team had big hearts and bigger ideas. We were just broken kids trying to help broken kids. My clients at the time probably healed me as much as I healed them because they gave me something to lose. That realization, that terrible Trojan horse, is where I began to build adversity intelligence. You see, pain without a framework can destroy, but pain with a framework can transform. The work of Dr. Paul G. Stoltz, the father of AQ, changed everything for me. His core framework, control, ownership, reach, and endurance, isn't just an idea, it's recovery science. Dr. Stoltz's studies proved that people with higher AQ don't just bounce back, they grow forward. They're more likely to sustain recovery, adapt, and build after setbacks. And the impact is real. AQ tools have reached more than 1 million people in 137 countries. AQ gives us a way to turn our pain into purpose. Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl once said, "If there's a meaning to life, then there has to be a meaning to suffering." Frankl went through the darkest pain to find his brightest purpose and ended up, after surviving that horrific circumstance and barely getting out alive, gifting us logotherapy, a psychotherapy that sits alongside the greats like Freud and Adler. And now science proves how that transformation is possible. Every thought, every act of courage, every moment of connection literally rewires our brain. Dr. Mavrakaki, the Harvard researcher, showed that neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new neural pathways, is the exact process behind both addiction and recovery. Addiction doesn't define us, it refines us. The 4 stages of AQ go like this. Firstly is control. What can I actually control right now? You have to let go to regain control. When I first lost my house, life, and job to meth, I remember hitting the bottom and thinking, what else is there? And as soon as I let go of control, I built momentum. Letting go isn't quitting, it's refocusing your energy on what you can influence. Secondly was ownership. Make yourself part of the problem to become the solution. When my partner left me for another man, I told her, I'll own my 50%. Sure, what did I expect? I was deep in addiction. Ownership transforms shame into fuel. It may not be your fault what happened, but it's your responsibility what happens next. Thirdly is reach. Turn your pain into purpose. When I left South Australia for the Red Deserts, threw my career in and got that job in a rehab, it literally changed my life. Inside every tragedy, there's a treasure. Reaching out, maybe checking in on a friend, mentoring a colleague, or helping a neighbor, because connection, not isolation, is the cure. And lastly, endurance. Keep showing up. My family modeled this day after day without applause. Endurance is persistence through the polishing phase of the bowl. A 2024 study of Australian Indigenous women proved this fact. Generations of trauma transformed into entrepreneurship, innovation, and leadership. These women proved that success isn't born from privilege, it's born from persistence. That's where kintsugi happens. That's where the gold fills the cracks. Addiction, like cancer, has 3 degrees of separation. But how do we treat it? With cancer, we offer love, compassion, and kindness. And with addiction, we offer judgment and shame. If addiction was treated like cancer as a medical, not a moral problem, how many lives would we save? But instead, for decades, leaders like Harry Anslinger and Richard Nixon have told us that addicts are the enemy. But you can't have a war on an inanimate object. So their war on drugs was a war on people, our most vulnerable. Addicts are not the enemy. They're people with such high AQ that their pain became their training ground. We should celebrate their endurance, not punish their coping. If we now live in a world that once shunned mental health and now widely accepts it, why do we not offer the same grace for addiction? It's the same thing wrapped up in different skins. In this new age we live in, it's not about individual recovery. It's about societal recovery to meet each in love. So what do we do with our pain? We use it, we transform it, we study it. My greatest pain became my greatest gift. Inside every tragedy, there's a treasure. So what treasure are you hiding? Remember that bowl? Kintsugi. The Japanese art of filling the breaks with gold. The cracks remain visible and beautiful. Brokenness doesn't mean the end. It can become the start of something more magnificent. If the opposite of addiction is connection, then reach out. Reach out to someone you know is suffering, and when you're good, reach back. Pull somebody else up. Each one, teach one, reach one. My goal is simple: to give 11 million people their smiles back through the work that I do and each and every person I meet. Show them that their AQ, their adversity intelligence, isn't a weakness, it's a superpower. Together, we can turn pain into purpose. We can turn suffering into meaning. We can turn adversity into the very thing that changes the world. Ladies and gentlemen, that is adversity intelligence. That is the dream worth fighting for. Thank you.